response time.
Oh yeah, that's what I always said. You guys had the best customer service.
Wait, say that again. Look right at the camera.
Best customer service. I can't tell you how much money we had to have lost over the years. It's sickening. Just really not knowing where I was with anything. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
I was like kind of running blind. Knowing now it's huge, and I couldn't imagine not having the system now SynkedUP. And yeah, it's a couple $100 a month, but considering how much you could be losing not having it, and even for a small company where it's just you, I think it would be worth it just for the calendar and scheduling and just keeping everything, keeping track of everything.
Not in here.
Right.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Like, when did you tell us who Mike Donas is?
Oh, I grew up loving tractors, cutting grass. My dad always had me out cutting grass, and it was like a treat to get to drive the tractor around. I'd go to my grandpaps, and that's what I wanted to do, is start his lawnmower, drive his tractor. So that kind of started it, into grass cutting.
Okay.
And 10 years old, I started cutting my neighbor's yard. So luckily we lived in like a decent neighborhood, and people, paid to have their grass cut. So as I grew up, I picked up more lawns in there, and in high school, we probably had 20 some lawns in that neighborhood. So through high school, cut grass, mulched, the typical maintenance stuff. Through high school, I never really thought I wanted to do this, as a full-time thing, and kind of always wondered what I wanted to do. I took some accounting classes and stuff like that, and was good at it, and I weirdly enjoyed it to a point, but I don't think I could have seen myself sitting at a desk all day, every day. Ended up deciding to just go with it, and after high school incorporated, slowly built from there. I can't even remember when you started working, but it wasn't long after that.
12 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
You've been with him for 12 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
You went to the oil field for a little while.
Yeah, not full time, but
Okay.
I've had a W-2 from Mike for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I went to the oil field for a little bit. And
Where, northwestern Pennsylvania, or northeastern Pennsylvania?
yeah, we worked out of Bentleyville, but a lot of our work was up in like Susquehanna County. And
Okay.
my time there, I still would help them out when I could, especially in the winters. But anytime I needed a hand on a weekend or something, I'd still help out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a couple of us for a long time.
Yeah.
Me and two guys or whatever, and then slowly expanded, had a grass crew and a landscape crew, and then eventually phased out grass, and now we're more into like the hardscape stuff, patios, retaining walls.
How long
outdoor
ago?
living.
How long ago was that you phased out?
So we got out of grass in 17.
Okay.
That was our last
So
year.
5 years.
Yeah. Yep. 5 years ago. From there, pushed into more the design build stuff, more outdoor living spaces, and still trying to grow more with that.
Yeah.
Our goal, hopefully next year get into installing at least a couple pools.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. The water feature stuff, the last 2 years we've really tried to get more into that as well. We both really enjoy that, and after meeting you and seeing what you could do with it and how cool all that is, it was very inspiring. So yeah, moving forward, really looking to just get better at what we do now. I don't particularly want to be some huge company with all these people. I'd rather stay small and have good guys and do good quality work and everybody make good money and good living. So yeah.
Do you regret not doing grass anymore?
No. Almost got back into it in the spring, and last year was the worst year we had as far as people, getting good help. We started getting the H2B guys, October last year. So we had them last October through December, and then they came back this spring, and that's been the biggest help. And they're great guys, happy, want to work, show up every day. We have our main core guys, our foremen and stuff, really good guys, been around, but having the H2B guys, for some extra labor has been really nice.
Yeah.
Big thing. So
did the lack of the recurring revenue when you quit doing grass scare you?
It did a little bit, especially late summer into winter when some of the landscape, like the maintenance slows down. They're not mulching as much. I was a little bit worried there, if we were going to be able to stay busy all year. And luckily at the same time, we still had the hardscape crew going. So we had all that work, and that stayed busy, all year, no problem. But I was worried, with losing leaf cleanups with grass.
Yeah.
That was just, I guess, fall filler work to a point if we would stay busy enough. And the first year it slowed down a little bit, like probably October, November, when, really we'd get into leaves and stuff like that. But the last 3-4 years, I mean, we've stayed busy till snow.
So no regrets on that?
No. And last year, almost getting into it, the problem with it, ideally, if we had no problem with people, it would be a nice thing to have, just so our good customers, we could have, do full service.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you get a week of rain or you're short on guys, him and I end up out on mowers, taken away from getting estimates out, stuff like, more important things that keep the business going.
Yeah.
So that was where it really started getting tough.
Yeah.
Or grass has to be done.
Right.
It's not something you can just
Schedule at your convenience.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So no regrets. In the perfect world, if we had all these guys, perfect situation, no problem getting help, it would be something to consider adding. But for right now, things are going really well without it.
Yeah.
So we'll probably continue that way.
So what was the worst experience you had getting started? Like, what the most challenging thing you had to overcome?
I think, buying wrong equipment at the time, like trucks that didn't make sense, stuff like that you didn't really think about as much being younger.
Help's always been an issue, I feel.
Yeah.
A lot of times we just have guys home from college and we'd only have them for the summer. So when they go back to school or before they come back from school, I feel like those were always tough times. Trying to make sure that you're saving enough for winter times when, it might not snow or you may not have as much money coming.
Yeah, definitely.
So financial crunch. Mm-hmm. What was the thing that you learned that got you out of that?
Saving money and being smart with your money. And again, that's where knowing your numbers, because if you're losing money on jobs and you get to winter, it's nice going to winter, having a nice chunk saved up from the summer to where you can pay your guys and pay for everything through the winter. If you don't know your numbers and you're really not making money and you don't have a pile of money sitting going into winter, not a pile, but cover all your expenses. That's a scary thing. And
because most of those payments or whatever, they're 12 months out of the year,
exactly.
not 9.
And if you're not prepared for that, that can put you out of business real quick.
Exactly.
So, or if it doesn't snow,
Yeah. And basically what that looks like is, okay, doing a budget. These are all my overhead expenses for the year, not for the month.
Right.
For the year.
Yep.
And that way your pricing is set at a point that September, October, November, you've been generating those funds to cover those overhead expenses for the whole year. And like you were saying, you have that little nest egg saved up to cover all your operating expenses and your profit.
Right.
But what often happens, what I see is people are no, my July operating expenses are covered. I'm great. Mm-hmm. And plus I got left over, I got profit. And then it gets into January, February, March, and all that profit vanishes to cover all those operating expenses that don't go away.
That and for us, it slows down. We're here, so we're oh, we need to buy this, this, and this. So we're spending all this money in the winter getting things ready for spring, and you don't realize how fast it goes away.
Yeah.
So just planning and all that is important for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, you get your good guys, you want to keep them all year, and you got to keep them paid. You know how it is with this type of business. If you lay them off, you're not going to keep them.
Yeah. And what you were saying over breakfast, you had a minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 30-hour minimum we were doing for, Paul's salary, 100% salary. Most of the field guys are hourly, but our main guys that stay and stick around, our foreman, we were doing a 30-hour minimum a week. So if we were working 20 hours, they were still getting 30.
Yeah.
But typically with snow removal and shop work, they were over 30.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I think for them it was a nice peace of mind knowing that they at least had that.
Yeah.
So.
And this way they could stay on their benefits too.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get less than 30, I don't think you're
Yeah, you don't technically qualify. Right.
So is snow something you plan to keep indefinitely, or is that something you'd love to take on?
That's a tough one. It's a love-hate relationship. I love, and I tried to do this last year, to where I didn't go out as much and I was here more, and that never works. I enjoy being out. I love it. But at the same time, I don't get as much done because, you know, you're out all night. You can't think the next day.
Yeah.
But if it snows, I mean, there's some good money in it, and it's nice revenue for the winter. Helps keep the guys busy. So we've talked about going both ways, but I think, you know, at least for the future, you know, we'll stay in it. Yeah, for now, for sure. Because if it snows, it's definitely good money.
Yeah.
And, you know, with
Commercial and residential?
we don't do any residential. I'll hit like a couple driveways, my mom and stuff like that. But or if we have a really good customer, we get a big snow, they call, you know, we'll do that. But typically we don't do much residential.
Yeah.
It's too hard with the trucks. Starting out, I had a quad through high school, and I'd probably do about 30 driveways with the quad. So that kind of got me into snow. And then once I got the truck, driveways, we kind of got rid of that.
Yeah.
Because you end up hitting somebody's yard and you're back fixing it, and you can't get half the driveway that's behind the house, so you're shoveling that. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, the commercial's been nice. Yeah.
So what's can you think back to like what's some of the best advice you were given along the way of trying to grow your business and overcome the challenges? What's the best advice you were given that you actually implemented and benefited from?
Well, definitely saving money, you know, and not spending. Because growing up, you know, I was living at home, I was doing a lot of work, so I liked my toys, dirt bikes, quads. So, you know, and even when I could drive, you know, trucks, I love trucks, so I loved switching trucks. It's something different. So my mom and dad always got on me on that, you know, how I needed to. And it's hard at that age, and it's funny looking back, like seeing kids do it now. Like, you don't understand how much more money you would have or save if you weren't doing that and switching, and taking a loss, you know, every year on a truck or whatever. So that sort of thing, you know, we've gotten a lot better at that, keeping equipment. We actually did just finally get out of some older trucks and bought some new stuff, built them the way we wanted. You know, and that's a lot of what we've heard from companies like Tussey. Like, you guys buy your trucks, build the bed, you know, so it's set up the best for you. And then on the resale end, you know, you're buying a nice truck with a good bed, set up well, so you get more out of it. So that sort of thing. But
I feel like the biggest thing that's helped is you finally got to a point where you feel comfortable delegating some
that for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So he's pretty much running the crews now, which gives me a lot more time to work on sales.
Did you have to twist his arm?
Oh yeah, everybody. Even the jobs, being on the jobs, like, it took me a long time to get my hands out of, and I still have my hands in too much.
Yeah. So you're the classic, like, craftsman, loves to be out there running the equipment, hands in the dirt. Yeah.
Like, once Joe can handle all the sales himself, I will definitely be out there. We were out on a landscape install doing a front yard and everything yesterday, and I was in the skid steer all morning, and I love that. I'd much rather do that than sit at a desk.
Well, that's the privilege of being the business owner. You can hire around you for the things that are like, yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
You know?
Right. But like,
that takes intention. You know, that takes intentional action.
Right. Right.
It doesn't just happen. If you never get intentional about it, you're on that treadmill for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know?
That thing too, like, obviously being honest with customers and clients and employees and all that stuff, and treating everybody right and being fair, I think all that's gone a long way.
How about paying yourself as the owner?
So for a long time I didn't, and then you know, getting into buying a first house, that was something that I was told I needed to have, you know, be paying myself basically a paycheck and building credit, and which I kind of always had the credit because growing up, you know, buying trucks and equipment, getting loans and stuff, starting out for some of that. But yeah, so I do pay myself a paycheck every 2 weeks like everybody else.
How long were you in business before you started doing that?
I incorporated right after high school, so end of 2009. I'd say a year or two after, I was probably paying myself a paycheck. Once we set up like a payroll company, when I actually had, you know, some employees that were technically on payroll, that's, I'd say, when. So it's been probably 7, 8, 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking back, would you do it that way again, or would you pay yourself from the get-go?
From the get-go. And I know some people that don't do that now, and I'm like, you need to.
Yeah.
And you should be, you know, you should make a paycheck.
Yeah.
Not be getting what's left, you know, at the end of the day. Because we all know how easy the money gets spent.
That's the business's profit.
Right.
Your income is still an expense to the business.
Right.
You know.
Because if I'm not here, you're going to be paying somebody else to be here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a
So-
good way to look at it is like, okay, what should you pay yourself? Well, what would it cost to hire the people to do the things that you do? And usually that's more than one person.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's something mentally that took a while to kind of accept and understand. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm not here doing it, I'm going to be paying somebody else, so I should be paying myself, you know, to
Yeah.
do that stuff.
and a lot of people get the profit from the business mixed up with, well, that is my pay.
Right.
You know, it's not.
No.
Not at all.
Turns out they don't have any profit.
Yeah, or they take it all and then like, well, the business doesn't have any profit. Like
Right.
you're not making anything.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you're spinning wheels basically. You're paying your groceries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have any like poor thought processes or mindsets around estimating and getting a price to a customer and how much a job should cost? Like,
Well, before SynkedUP, I didn't really know. I kind of, you know, I heard what other people in the industry were doing in our area, and obviously a lot of them weren't doing it right either. But going on, you know, mulch job, X amount per yard, 40, 50 bucks a yard, or 70, 80, whatever it was at the time. Square footages for walls, 40 to 50 a square foot. So a lot of error with that stuff.
so what's wrong with that? Because like, there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this video that are doing.
Well, like a mulch job, for instance, you could have a 5-yard mulch job in the front, 10 feet off the street, no bushes, no edging. You can dump it in there, spread it real quick. You could have 5 yards up at the top of a back hill with 30 bushes you can't even walk between that you're trying to get mulch into that may take you 4 times as long. So that, not only that, you don't really calculate in or understand without a program like SynkedUP, like your overhead, you know, and that's going to be different to everybody, but you know, your office expense, your computers, your bills, all that stuff, insurance. So you don't account in for all that on top of it. So there's a big time loss there if you really don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, unless
So-
you're crazy high.
like what you were saying with like the retaining walls, like 40, 50 a square foot, like, did you think like that was a lot of money?
At the time, yeah. You do a wall, you're getting a check for $5,000, where looking back, it should have been 10,000. But same thing with that, you could have a 5-foot long wall that's 4 foot high that, you know, you set the base in a half hour.
Yeah.
Or you could have one that's 50 foot long, 1 foot high.
Yeah.
So everything's different, every job's different, so that's where the man hours comes into, you know, big factor that you lose out on if you're just doing like a square footage.
Did you think that was a lot of money when you were doing that 40, 50 square foot?
Oh yeah.
So
I
like,
did.
what finally like made you start thinking like,
Well, once I got into, you know, because I started with a different system than
Yeah.
SynkedUP, and you know, once I started actually seeing with man hours where I needed to be,
yeah,
it was a little scary. But I was also at the same time, I will say it took me a while, and I shouldn't have dragged it out so long, but it was a big jump on some pricing. So I wouldn't, you know, it would look high to me, and I'd take off some man hours. Like say the next year we're doing a mulch job, and it should be 3,000, but I was only charging 1,800 the last couple of years. So instead of bumping up to where I should be, I might do like 2,500. And over the next couple of years, we slowly, I guess, increased. And even this year, you know, as an owner, you work a little bit faster sometimes than some of the guys, just because you have a different mindset. So we would bid things hourly for how long we know it would take us, which usually, like the mulch jobs and stuff, the guys take a little bit longer. So even this year, we kind of finally said we need to even allow a little bit more time, put some more man hours on. So this year, we've hit a lot more of the targeted hours. But it's just taken a while to work up to that, I think, because a lot of customers, especially the maintenance we've had for a long time. So, and we lost some, you know, due to raising prices, but
was that a blessing or?
oh yeah, yeah. Because you might as well, if it's going to be like that, you're better off doing less work, making more money.
Exactly.
Than a lot more work, making no money.
Exactly.
So, oh yeah, big
Stress level goes through the roof, and you're
Yeah.
still not making any money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No doubt.
I think it comes down to finding the right customer for you too.
But it's
Definitely.
having a good understanding of that. Exactly. Because like a lot is like not every person that calls you is your customer.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people, it takes a long time. Like, I don't know. It takes a long time to kind of like figure out like, okay, you know what? I don't even want that customer.
Right.
You know, and have the confidence to say that.
Yeah, because I was scared, like raising all these prices, and they'd say something and be like, well, I can knock a little bit off or whatever. And something else we actually started doing this year that we kind of took back from you guys was a consultation fee for new customers. And even that, like, still I'm like a little nervous about. We only did $50. We apply it towards a job if they go with us. My mom, from what she said, handling the phones, probably 40% of the customers she turns away because they don't want to pay it. But those are usually the customers that we waste our time with, we don't get anyway, and we're still booked out. So I think that was a really good call going that route.
Did you see a difference in your time going out and visiting?
Oh yeah, like a lot more of the jobs that we bid were selling.
So your close rate is way up.
Right, definitely. So
and even just a little $50 consultation fee can do that.
Yeah. And we got the project planner set up.
Yeah.
So that's a nice tool as well, but trying to pre-qualify just to save us time.
Yep.
And, all that stuff's been definitely nice, and that's all stuff that I wish I would have done a little bit sooner.
And that's all stuff that we've learned from you guys too.
Right.
From going, to Tussey and going to Auckland and stuff.
These
are things we're taking back from these
Right.
from these trips that seem to be helping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And even at Tussey, like, it was, we got that stuff from other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just like going to these events for 15 years, and one of the things we did at Tussey was like every time we went to an event, it's like, okay, we heard 15 different things. What's one thing we're going to start doing different right now?
Right.
And like commit to take it. We'd all agree on, commit to taking that action. And you do that over and over and over again. Like, that's where real change happens.
Yeah, because I never worked for anybody else doing this. I almost wish, looking back, growing up, that is one regret I have to a point, is not going and working somewhere else just to learn, how other companies operate and do things.
Kind of business stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But at that point, I had 30 or 40 yards. I'm like, I can't give that away.
Yeah, right.
But looking back, it's like, so
yeah,
that's something.
You're away fast enough now, right?
Right. So anytime now that we can do some training or come out, to like a event like you guys do, that's a big thing for us, and I really like to do. And as much of us as as many of us as can go, we like to go and try to learn and take back what we can.
Yeah. So if you were to go back in time to your first year or two in business and give yourself some advice, like, what's the top thing that you would tell yourself?
I would have worked for somebody else for sure.
That's
just to get some experience and see how other companies run, because some companies have a brother, somebody they're doing it with. I've always kind of been, it's just been me.
Straight out of the gate.
Right.
Yeah.
So, being able to get some experience how other companies operate and work and learn, I think would have been a benefit for sure. Going into having our own company. But we figured it out and are figuring it out and learning every day. So there's always ways to learn. And
how long ago did you hit $1 million in your revenue?
So last year was 1.5. The year before was almost 1.1.
Okay.
So 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would have been, I guess, 2020.
So if you go back to your beginning, like, is there anything you could have done different to get there quicker?
SynkedUP would have helped for sure, because we would have been charging a lot more.
But isn't that scary though, charging more?
Yeah, it is. But looking back, we'd probably be in a different place right now, if we would have done this sooner. So that for sure.
I'm reading into your what you're saying a little bit, but like what I'm guessing is like knowing the true cost of what it was taking to run your business.
Oh yeah.
And you felt like you were making a lot of money.
Right.
But in reality,
right.
January, February, March would roll around and you were tight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, with the first year on SynkedUP, we went up almost 400,000.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
And then this year, I think we're about 300,000 ahead of last year.
So that's almost 100% growth in 2 years.
And for us, like, this spring was kind of slow with getting our guys late, and the weather was kind of back and forth. Now, some of that was due to, we had more snow this year, but definitely ahead.
Yeah.
We have a lot on the books, so we're hoping to be able to hit 2 this year.
So what would you say to your classic kind of guy that's out there, got their lawn route, they're in their first couple years of business, they're striving for that $1 million mark. Like, what kind of advice would you give a person like that?
I think to get to the million, you definitely have to delegate, and you got to get out of the field to a point. Like, it's going to be hard to do that sitting on a mower all day. But splitting the crews up a little bit more. And also, I think the biggest thing is setting up like SynkedUP, putting all your numbers in, your overhead, and just knowing what you need to charge. That's going to be a big help, as far as growth, for sure. What I've noticed too, and I've lacked on this, is estimates. Taking too long to get them to people because you're out in the field.
It's a big deal.
Oh yeah, the quicker turnaround with that, and quicker response is huge. And to be honest, I still lack with that sometimes, with communication and I'd rather be out working on a waterfall where I have emails and voicemails I should be catching up on. But that customer service and especially getting estimates out quick, I think is a very important thing.
Has SynkedUP helped you with that at all?
Oh yeah, because we can build it. We can email it right to them. They can approve it. So it's a very simple, easy process. It's very easy for the customers. We're not mailing out estimates.
Yeah.
It's very.
Or going
easy
out to
for
meet
them.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How long did it take you before SynkedUP to work up, or before you just did this? I'm going to get my numbers down. When you were still kind of in your manual process, how long was it taking you to come up with work up a price?
Honestly, it was quicker because I didn't know what I was charging.
Because you were just doing 40, 50 a foot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd get the square footage. Oh, times 50. Here you go. Here's the price. Now it is a little bit more work because I have to, we put all the materials in, but all the overhead's already calculated, all that, the profit's calculated. So really we're just putting our man hours in and our material quantities, stuff like that. But now that we're starting to track a little bit more, we'd like to set up the
Production.
production rates, yes. So if we get those
that's really gonna help.
Oh, yeah.
Shave a lot of time off.
Right.
It's to take all that manual thinking out of putting all your materials
exactly. And make it easier, like you said, for a sales guy or girl to be able to
take over some of the estimates for you. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's some more time involved, but you feel a lot more confident at the end of building an estimate through SynkedUP, as I did with QuickBooks, putting in $50 per square foot on a 200 square foot wall.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about when you're, so the customer's say they got a $10,000 budget and your price comes in at 14. And what was your natural reaction years ago when
I'd probably drop the price, not that much, but now with SynkedUP, I can take a couple $100 off if you want, or you don't.
Yeah.
You need to make this much money. You can, take your profit down a little bit if you want, but all your costs are there. So,
but at least the difference between your you're not looking at gross profit, your net profit.
Right.
So it's some people are I make 50% gross profit. Yeah, I'll give you a 10% discount. What you don't realize is that 10% is all of your profit.
Right.
All of it. So it's back to I'd be better off just not even doing the job.
Right. Exactly. Yep. And we pass on them a lot because of that.
Yeah.
So sorry, that's our price. So.
And it gives you the confidence to be hey, I understand you have a $10,000 budget, but I can make the wall smaller.
Exactly.
I can negotiate on scope, not on price.
Right. Shorten up the scope or change the scope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or phase it out or whatever. Yeah, exactly. There's all kinds of things you can do to meet the client's budget because we got budgets, right?
Right.
We got to meet them. That's a reality thing. But at the same time, don't do so at your own expense.
Right.
Don't meet a client's budget and you hurt for it.
Yeah. You can't make bad business decisions to get a job.
Yeah.
And that's where before SynkedUP we didn't know.
Yeah.
What was a bad business decision.
So what would you say has been the most impactful or your favorite thing about SynkedUP since you're using it?
How streamlined and simple it is. You build your estimate, customer approves it, it automatically goes to projects. And then at that point it shows up on the side of the calendar. You really can't miss anything, which is a big thing. The program we used before, once an estimate, I'd get an approval on it, a verbal or emailed approval. I'd print it out and move it to another folder. And then I'm trying to keep track of these papers. I'm the only one that really knows them. Where SynkedUP, any of the guys, we can all get on and see what we have in projects and what's on the calendar. So how streamlined and simple it is, and everybody can see it, is very nice. Huge, huge. And then the job costing, the estimated versus actual has been awesome. That's a game changer.
Has it made you more money, being able to see that?
Yes, because that's one of the things that, especially man hours,
it's usually where people trip up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because materials is usually a calculation.
Right.
It's unless you make a mistake, it's
right.
usually not that.
And it's even good to be able to show the crews too, we're negative on this job. Why?
Yeah. So it's triggering that conversation in real time.
Or even like, if there's a material that you know, quantity based on, you're doing 6 inches and they use double, you know, they're digging too much out, putting too much stone back in, so wasted time there. So it is nice for a lot of reasons to be able to go through that, I guess, with a fine-tooth comb in a sense sometimes, and figure out what's going on
Yeah.
certain jobs or where we can improve.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I talk to guys that, like I was telling you at breakfast, like people feel like they're spending their fun money, their profit,
Right.
their own pay to go buy a system like SynkedUp.
Yeah.
And let's say you have a team of 20 or 30 people and it costs you $700 a month. Like, isn't that too much?
No.
Why?
No. Even one guy I think should have it. Because you're going to be losing way more than that.
See that?
Without it.
There you go.
So definitely something. I think starting a business, that's one of the first things in this industry, and really any industry, you know, that is definitely something that should be bought.
Got to know your numbers.
Yeah, that's like the foundation.
Because like working harder, if you don't know your numbers and you got them upside down, working harder isn't going to fix the problem.
No.
You're going to just dig your hole deeper.
Exactly. Yep. And then you get one bad year, or a little scary with the economy.
Yeah.
You know, you could be out real quick.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Well, Paul, you've been with Mike for 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
And in this industry, that's not exactly common.
No.
So what is different?
I don't know. I mean, I've went to the oil field for 6 years, but still stayed here. It's just always found my way back. Him and I have always kind of been a good balance for each other. We just work well together. We both have the same goals. We're both super picky, super detail oriented, and
So didn't you feel like, I don't know if I can make a living working at a seasonal business?
at first a little bit, yeah.
So how'd you overcome that?
Well, I did. I went to the oil field for a little bit. And
Okay, so you dealt with it by getting another job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But then, you know, he kind of got to the point where he could supply me a living that I could, you know, live off of and, you know, make a family off of. So.
What would you say to, because you and I kind of ran the same role, you know, in the companies we worked for, you know, so like, what would you say to the hustler, the guy that wants to get her done, but he's not the owner, he or she's a key employee that's, you know, what advice would you give to someone in that position to really like succeed at a business?
Trust your boss, pretty much. Keep working hard, keep doing what you got to do to help make the company more money, because it's gonna eventually help you make more money in the long run as well.
Some of the best advice I ever got, like being in the same role that you're working, is like, instead of being like thinking of your role selfishly, like how can I grow, how can I make more money, how can I whatever, like I just want more money, right? Or maybe it's not even money, maybe it's more time off or whatever it is, or more consistent work through the winter. I don't know, fill in the blank of what you want out of your job. Like one of the best pieces that I wasn't smart enough to come up with this on my own. Like Greg Woodstock had to tell me this, which is if you want to make more money, go ask your boss, what can you do to help the company make more money,
Right.
so that you can make more money. And like that changes, it's a simple statement, but it's a paradigm shift. Because it's suddenly like everything has a new lens and a new perspective, and you don't think of it anymore of just like, dude, it's 5 o'clock, I'm out of here. Like, it's more like, hey, it's 5 o'clock, but if I could do a little prep work for 20 minutes and get the trucks ready for Monday morning, like I could save an hour for 4 guys, which over the, you know, you just start thinking things differently.
Right. At my last job, I was, you know, in a higher role as well before I took the layoff, you know, when COVID started. So coming back here, you know, was also kind of forcing him to allow me to do more and take on more responsibility.
Sure. So you had to fight for a little bit of delegation.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, my last
Well, there you go. There's some advice if you're working for an owner that, you know, just help him delegate.
Yeah, you gotta let go a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step up to the plate and be like, dude, I see you're struggling with this. Let me go do something over here that I know how to do so you can free up, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So I took on a lot of estimating last year and this year and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, taking over snow, you know, running the, you know, coordinating all the trucks and now coordinating all the crews and stuff like that every day. So,
Yeah, he'd just send me a list now.
Switch the role there. I like that. From the perspective of a non-owner working out in the field, and we're talking about knowing our numbers, making sure we're profitable. Like, what would you say is like something that a foreman or a project manager should do for the owner so that the business can be profitable in that regard? Like, whether it's thinking about production efficiency, whatever it is. I mean, you say what you think.
Keeping a close eye, because they see their man hours and what they're allotted for each job. Keeping a close eye on that, and stepping back sometimes and thinking of a good game plan, on how to go about digging out a wall or digging out a patio. Just making sure you're not doing more than you need to, which is essentially maybe costing the company more.
Yeah.
So just doing things by the book, I think, with me, it's just stopping out at these jobs every day to make sure, things are getting done, things are being coordinated correctly on the job.
Yeah.
Organization, I think, is huge, and I'm crazy about
and I know you're stocking bulk materials out here. I'm sure you probably had a hand in that, and it's like those little things, like, the quote, an hour of planning will save 8 hours in the field. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a little extreme, and in some cases, I don't think it is. Because, you do the right thing to set up the right thing, you can get so much more production out of the same equipment, the same guys, and get another 10% more jobs, more volume, more production done in a season. And that's a huge deal when it comes to making the company grow.
So that's why whenever we go and get started on these jobs, I kind of help them set up a game plan for each job.
Okay.
Whether it's like helping them set up elevations, or,
or where you're gonna stage the material, like all that stuff can make a big difference.
Coordinating triaxles to bring stuff on, or whatever.
When they show up.
And even on the landscape side, I'll help get each guy started on their own task, and then maybe tell the foreman, whenever he gets done with this, you can have him start working on this.
Yeah.
When these guys start blowing mulch, they can start running wheelbarrows of mulch.
Now, that's what a foreman's job is.
It is, but it's nice to have someone else kind of be there to help
think through it.
Yeah. So when you got 6 guys on a job, it's a lot to keep everyone busy. So having a little extra set of advice, I think goes a long way.
So when your company switched to SynkedUP, could you see, is there anything you look at and be like, that was a big improvement in the field, or is there anything you look at as an impact or a difference that was brought about by that?
I think just the ease of knowing, what they need for each job, being able to see their man hours, I think helps them have a better understanding of, where they're at in that project. And I think I never used the old software as much, just for snow a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
But I definitely see the benefit of, organization and time spent on what task you need and that stuff.
I agree. I think for my years as a foreman, if the better job you can do at letting them know what materials they need, the notes about the job, the information about the job, how many hours, the more information you can give them, the less phone tag and rat race putting out fires thing that you're going to deal with as the owner or the project manager or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's why, on building these estimates, having a detailed scope of work is extremely important for them to reference. Or if they're doing an install, maybe attaching the rendering to the project on SynkedUP so they can reference that. Little things like that, I think go a long way.
Just those little things that don't seem like they're much really have a lot of way less phone calls and stuff out in the field because it's it's all there.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite thing personally from using the system?
The ease of it, really. Being able to click through each screen and at the end of each job, put in how much you used of each quantity. That, and I think knowing your overhead's huge for us. So just knowing you're not losing money, I think is the best part.
It sounds like you're buying confidence, not buttons.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's a nice peace of mind, as someone who doesn't own, to know that we're, doing fine, doing well. So
that's important to you, even as just an employee, is you want to know that the company's making money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it's not, then that's
maybe I should find another job.
What's up? Yeah, exactly. So for the companies out there that are struggling to hold help, are you doing a good job of selling, making sure that your company is sound and stable and giving a future for your team? Because they'll smell that.
I didn't even really think about that whole side of it, but
Thanks for hosting us out here, Mike.
Oh yeah,
It's a great time.
great having you guys come. It's an honor. It is. No,
Well, thanks.
we appreciate it. Yeah.
You bet. I want to do more of these.
And that's what
things.
you're gonna get with SynkedUP. You know, you got the customer service, you got great guys. So it's, you know, get a good breakfast every once in a while.
Well, I'm looking for a turkey hunt out here.
Yeah,
so-
turkey hunt, deer hunt, whatever. Yeah, anytime.
Like, at the end of the day, I kind of think a business comes down to good relationships.
Yeah.
You know, well, it doesn't matter what you're doing, and I can say, like, from our point of view here at SynkedUP is like our mission is just like I was saying earlier, like the struggle you felt over trying to make money, thinking you were making money but you weren't.
Right.
Like I want to help as many businesses as possible across North America just like skip that step.
Oh yeah.
Or be in that for as little time as possible. And then number 2, don't lose touch. Stay in touch. And that's why I want to go out and visit people, because like I think it's as important for us to stay in touch with, even though we came from the industry, right? Mm-hmm. It's important that we don't like lose sight of the little things that matter. And I don't know, I just seen so many companies, corporations that kind of think, oh no, we know best.
Right.
You know, we're just going to do whatever we think. And
Right.
so frustrating being a customer of a company that works that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you guys listen to us, which is huge. You know, our thoughts and opinions and.
Well, you let me know if we ever slip up on that.
No, I mean, as far as like the program, like if, you know, if there's something that we could see a different way or this or that, you guys take that into serious consideration and fix things. And or like you said, a lot of the other companies don't.
Yeah.
They know it best, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So.
You should hear his laugh though. Say, Weston, let's hear what Donas came up with today.
I'm sure you get a lot of those. But no, you guys at least hear everything, which is huge, you know.
Well, thanks. We want to keep that alive. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Paul. You bet.
Appreciate it.
And that is the first episode of the SynkedUP. I'm going to come up with a name for this thing. The podcast, the YouTube channel, whatever it is. See you guys.
It was so easy to just start using. Every other program has always been these big onboarding processes and multiple meetings. And then guys like me, owner operators, we don't have time to do that. We just need to get a software that works and it's easy to learn.
I mean, it would have helped us tremendously throughout last year, just knowing our numbers better. By the time the job is over and you clock out for that day and put your items in, you have everything set.
And like this year, I just put everything in there. I know my numbers, I know my labor. So I was just like cruising yesterday, just like having fun, man. Whereas like last year, I was stressing myself out.
The job costing is a game changer. I mean, it takes me 10 minutes to put together an estimate that would take me an hour and a half before.
I could not strongly enough recommend this to anybody in the green or in the service industries. The mistakes that you're avoiding will more than offset the cost of a subscription software service.
Just sign up. You're going to know within a week if you love it or not, and you're going to love it.